Well, good morning again, loved ones. If you remember, and if you don't remember, 2 weeks ago we found some encouragement from Psalm 121. And the encouragement was this, that God was up all night while we were asleep, oblivious to the world, not thoughtful about God's activity in our lives. God was up all night. He does not sleep, nor does he slumbers. And he helps us. And while we are asleep and while we are slumbering, he is thinking about us and he is planning to bless us and to be our helper. And so we were encouraged with that thought. Today from Psalm 71, I want to encourage you with another thought. It's closely related to the God was up all night while we were not thoughtful. And so let me share with you from Psalm 71. I want to point out 3 verses from Psalm 71. In verse 5, the psalmist writes, "For you, O Lord, are my hope, my trust. O Lord, from my youth, upon you I have learned from before my birth. You are he who took me from my mother's womb." And here I simply want to say this. The psalmist, David, is saying, when I was unaware of you, when I was ignorant of you from before my birth, you were helping me. And then in verse 9, David writes this, "Do not cast me off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength is spent." This is a request that at the end of his life, when he is too weary to take care of himself, maybe too weary of mind to be thoughtful of how God is working in his life. When he was young in the womb, he was ignorant of God's strength and he confessed it. And here he's looking to a time when he may again become ignorant of God's faithfulness to him. And he's saying, Lord, in those moments, be near me. When my strength is spent, in my old age, I'm trusting you to care for me. And then in verse 15, he says this, "My mouth will tell of your righteous acts, of your deeds of salvation all the day, for their number is past my knowledge." And so he earlier said, when I was in the womb, you were caring for me in a way that I was ignorant of. And into the future, when I am too weak to be mindful of your care, when I will again find myself in a place of ignorance, you will be taking care of me. And here he says, you're helping me so much right here, right now, that I am often, frequently ignorant of how you are caring for me, because you're caring for me in ways that are beyond my understanding, too numerous for me to be knowledgeable of them all. So here, David says, in my ignorance, past, present, and future, you are my help. You are with me. You are for me. You are working out my good. And this is wonderful news for us. And I think it might be something that would be very helpful for us to familiarize ourselves with how God is at work in our lives and how God has been at work throughout history. To familiarize ourselves with God's helpfulness by going to his word over and over and over. By rehearsing God's past faithfulness. And that will strengthen us with hope that he will be faithful in the future, and he is indeed faithful today. Can confess these things, remind ourselves of these things, anchor ourselves with these truths, that where we are ignorant of his help, he is helping us. When we are ignorant of his help, he is helping us still, because he is a God who helps. I pray this encourages you today. God bless.